So, this agency has a long history of filling our clients' needs with our work temp program.
Oh, let's go!
Ma'am.
But who doesn't love Mario and Luigi?
So many people are like, why didn't anybody else think of this? It's such a funny idea.
Well, there you go, princess. You're all plumbed. Yahoo! Daddy, we mostly plumbed it.
The whole premise is pretty funny. The series is super creative, a lot of fun, and really funny, like legitimately funny.
Welcome to art class. I am a Luigi and this is my brother Mario. We are obviously professional artists.
It's still an extremely high quality web series.
Oh my god!
I'm really proud of the series. I'm proud of what we all were able to accomplish together.
So the world arts community has decided that it will literally pay you to do anything else with your filmmaking career if you cease wasting your considerable efforts and expertise on this drivel.
Was a privilege.
Well, see you later.
For the most part, there was a ramp up in production values and production quality as the series went on. All the episodes felt like they kept getting more intense and more running plot lines and more characters and more complicated, and eventually that probably had a weight to it that was difficult to sustain for web video.
It stretched over about 5 years, so a lot can change in 5 years. The show changed, and then our personal lives changed, and so things became more complicated.
I don't know if we really acknowledged that it might be the last season. We were approaching it. We all kind of knew 50 was coming up, and 50 is always a milestone number. We were trying different things, like dipping your toe in the water kind of thing, to just get an idea of where we could go.
Today we are reciting Kanye West's Bound 2.
About midway through season 5, I think we were all thinking that, all right, once we get to 50, this might be it.
Once we went to DVD release mode, everything was going full throttle with that. You could just kind of tell that everybody was starting to lose some steam, and we really needed a much needed break. 50th episode, that was the perfect time to do it.
When we got done filming, I was kind of like, wow. I wasn't really happy. I was more sad about it. That is the 50th episode. The possibly last episode. Kind of a sad moment, a little momentous. I would be thrilled if you guys smothered us with love and affection and showed us that you want us to keep going more. And that would push us.
It sort of felt like, all right, this series has reached the limits of what it can accomplish for a web series, and 50 episodes is a pretty solid run for most web series, so it seemed like it might be time to move on for everybody.
We needed to kind of recoup, our creative energies, what have you, and think of, what could the next stage of living in 8-bits be?
Because I knew something was going to have to be different, and we were going to have to make a different turn, and I didn't know what it was.
When Living in 8-Bits ended, Carmen came to Mike and said, I just really want to keep this going, and obviously Mike wanted to really keep it going, and so did all of us in some capacity or another.
Carmen had called a meeting about wanting to rediscuss things about the show.
I feel like I was the one who dropped the bombshell, but I think it was the elephant in the room that had to be said. But I remember when we sat down at my table and I said, I don't want to do episode 51. I think it took the wind out of a lot of people's sails. It would have been just the same thing, another 50 episodes of doing the same thing. And as much as it probably would have been okay, it wouldn't have been great.
We were trying our best to stay creative and stay fresh, but we're following the format for so long, and that's what people are used to. It's like, okay, what do we do?
And so I said, I have an idea to do a spin-off with the same characters, where we can even include the old characters, and they all are applying at different jobs.
And I thought, yeah, that's really a funny idea. I think we need to narrow it down and kind of create an arc. Let's make something that's much more narrative this time, and that's where I suggested narrowing it down to the plumbers.
What do the fans want? What have the fans really responded to? And one of the real top series comments that we were getting is people wanted more Joey and Matt, it's Mario and Luigi.
Fans really seem to like the Mario episodes, and especially since we brought Matt in to be Luigi, I think we had a lot of stories to tell with the Mario brothers.
We could do something really, really funny by just focusing on the plumbers, and that's where the second meeting came.
And this one was just going to be a brainstorm collaboration kind of thing of what we could possibly do with this idea.
You know, does it make sense to make a series about the plumbers? Are they the characters to focus on? And we all kind of agreed, I think so.
And it was really good chemistry. Everybody was throwing ideas out about this company that would hire the brothers to do these jobs that they are not qualified to do.
We really went into this with a narrative focus. We said, all right, we want to make an episodic series that is consistent from one episode to the next.
We fleshed out the entire story arc of Super Plumber Brothers. So we all said, like, all right, the first episode should establish this universe, so it would essentially be a job interview. Each subsequent episode then would have them going to a new job, and the sixth episode will culminate in it all and bring it all together and wrap it up.
The mini-series format for us, I just really enjoy writing that because I know where my character's coming from and I know where they're going.
6 episodes seemed like an accomplishable number. What would be a logical way to end this that felt like an ending and didn't just feel like it was, you know, where people would be like, when's the next one, when's the next one, when's the next one?
She's alright. Finding us a job is a bad idea.
Brother, you and I were full of bad ideas.
The funniest thing is that Jenna keeps giving them jobs for some reason instead of immediately abandoning them as she should. So she's just as bad as they are by the end. It's like the fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice situation. So Jenna's fooled 5 times, I guess, at least. So by the end, it makes sense that the plumbers are at least as competent as she is.
Will you find the job we qualified for? Yours.
We had written the last episode first because we knew we were going to have to shoot it first, and there was a specific date for that, and then we kind of spent a little more time writing, and we maybe had a couple of months to knock the next 4 or 5 episodes around between Stephanie and Mike and Carmen and Joey and myself.
Whichever one of us got really passionate about the idea said, you know what, I'll take that one. So one writer would do the outline and really lay down the bones of what the story is going to be.
And we kind of passed it along the group and said, here's kind of the initial rough draft. This is my idea. See if you can add anything to this, make this better.
There was sort of a little mini writing room that went on where we were all just, you know, continually punching up each other's scripts.
I really like being in a writer's room because when one person gets excited, then the other person gets excited and it just sort of builds. Because we wouldn't have thought of this stuff had we not been together and brainstorming, mind melding, all that kind of stuff.
Narratively, Plumber Brothers felt more focused.
There's certain things you could do with the documentary style, and here we didn't have to adhere to that style. We're getting to know the characters more so. Like a lot of times in the Mario and Luigi characters, you had Diana as the princess character, and she's the the mouthpiece to the story. She's the one being interviewed. And here you're seeing it from the Plumber Brothers' point of view, kind of like how you do in the mechanic episode. Joey and Matt were great as always, and here they're getting so much screen time. They really have room to play off each other.
They're kind of affable losers in that sense, but you love them. We wanted to bring a charm to the characters because we know how nostalgic Mario and Luigi are. We don't want to insult Mario and Luigi. We love Mario and Luigi.
I love Joey and Matt, the buddy comedy.
Great chemistry. The two of them are awesome. What are the odds you would have someone who is that tall and also someone who is that much shorter, and being able to play characters and do impersonations of them so accurately?
And it's amazing that the transformation when they put the costume and the mustaches on. It's this aura that just consumes them, and they're just so good at it.
When they're improvising, they really get a chance to shine.
The stuff that would come out of their mouths was just ridiculous.
We did list vegetables.
Oh, we like them.
Except to eat.
We throw.
They're just so good at just becoming those characters, and even when they say cut, they're still those characters. Their improv skills are just phenomenal.
But also, just the script was good, so they had that to work off of.
There were times that I would trying to hold like back my laughs as I'm watching them do their thing.
To me, I'm like, the script has ended, the jokes are over, and Joey keeps going, and then my brain has to keep running a couple of extra minutes until Mike says cut. We gotta keep this thing rolling.
He's not stopping, brother. I encourage him. We should encourage him to continue.
I like the dance he's doing.
It's a good dance. I like that. Who did that dance? Was that the Saturday Night Fever?
He just gets into that character, and even in between takes, he's just yelling and jumping around and doing the yahoo kind of thing with the big silly mustache.
He's a riot. I mean, you got to be on your toes because you never know what's coming out of his mouth.
It takes a special type of actor to be able to have that level of concentration and to be just so good to work with.
So we just stay here and then you tell us what we do now, right?
You go.
We go where?
Sure, if
Over there in the corner.
No, out that door.
Out the door. We came in that door. Why we go out that
and
door?
that's how you get out.
Why we want to get out?
He has a much more bubbly, outgoing, forward personality than I do, and I tend to be much more reserved, I think. I'm not sure if that's true in real life, but certainly once the camera's running, that's true.
Matt is one of the driest, funniest guys I've ever met. And that's what I think makes them a good chemistry, is Joey is very loud, very spastic, making jokes, yahoo, being loud. Matt would make a joke, and you don't even know it's a joke at first, but you hear him say it, and the delivery of it is so perfectly dry. And all I have to do is just laugh every time. He's seriously like one of the funniest guys I've ever met, and his writing is unmatched.
Right, you want to look at it?
I didn't ever want to picture that.
Well, it's too late.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's the least Matt-like of any of the characters that I play, although he's still tall and lanky and awkward, so it works in that case. I've always had an affinity for Luigi in my life because no one ever appreciates him and everyone likes Mario better, so, you know, whatever.
All right, Mansion, now it's a Luigi time. What was that?
We said right from off the bat at that meeting that whoever is running this temp agency, whoever this character is, it should be Sarah.
It was so different from what I had played before. I'd always played Apple or other little quiet characters, shy and stuff like that. But Jenna is a boss, and she's just like, you know, her ideas aren't always good, but she's a boss. And it was really cool to be able to play the straight man to Joey and Matt's clown.
She's actually the main character. Like, it's this poor trod-upon woman who thinks she's gonna save these two idiots and get a promotion. We kind of slipped that in there. I mean, I really like to write for strong female characters, and Sarah really was excited about it because she just wanted to sink her teeth into something different.
Get out.
Can we take...
Nope.
Okay.
In fact, I remember the first day she showed up when we were filming at the expo and she had her glasses on. I looked at her, I was like, you wear glasses? She goes, no. Oh, so where'd you get those? She goes, oh, these? I think I got these at the dollar store. So they're not real glasses? She goes, no, I got them for this. I was like, oh, that's awesome.
Sarah's a pro. P-R-O, pro. And that extends behind the scenes and in front of the camera.
Sarah's a spitfire, man. She can do anything that you throw at her. I always say never underutilize Sarah Braun.
Sarah really, went above and beyond, was doing so many different things on top of acting. It's a testament to her as a worker and how talented she is and her work ethic.
So what are you doing, Sarah?
I'm slating.
She's doing everything.
Makeup and dog wrangler and trainer and...
She wants to be everywhere. If you need her to do something, she does it. She doesn't ask questions, she just does it. Because I think she sees the bigger picture. She wants the product to succeed, not just herself.
She's almost like the living at 8-Bit's mom, backstage mom almost.
It's just incredible to see somebody work at that pace and, are willing to wear multiple hats. Because not a lot of people can wear multiple hats and make all of them work, but she can.
Sarah kind of became an invaluable extra person to have on set and took on a larger production role.
It fascinates me. I really like being on set, and I like the familial aspect of being on set, especially when you get to work with your friends. I tried to offer what I could, which kind of ended up being this wide variety of stuff, because I just do things.
Obviously, I wasn't really that surprised when each episode turned out really well, because the team behind it knew what they were doing.
I think a special credit needs to go to the behind-the-scenes production crew, because without them, a lot of the things we did wouldn't be possible.
The production crew was fantastic. You guys know your stuff, man.
A lot of, the returning people, myself, Jolie's, Sarah, Carmen, but we were all doing different jobs.
The way I like to describe a Mixed Nuts production crew is I kind of liken it to Sandlot baseball, where everybody kind of plays a different position for the betterment of the product.
The thing that was cool about the shoot is that I had a pretty flexible role behind the scenes where I could do multiple things where I'm needed and people can do other things as needed.
Sometimes we were on sound, sometimes we were on slate, set up the lights. When we had 2 cameras, I was working the B camera.
There was always someone to lend a hand so I could focus on what I do best, writing and production logistics.
Steph is always one of the best on-set producers you can have because she's just looking for the problems before they occur and fixing them before you even notice that there are problems.
Steph was awesome. Steph is a great executive producer. I think she's very underrated in the industry. I think her and Matt, I think the sky's the limit with the 2 of them.
I know that Mike went out of his way to make sure that everyone from the original cast and people that have been involved over the years appeared in some way. He even had Elizabeth, when she happened to be in town, do a voiceover.
Too many games! No, wait, hold on.
It was really cool that we could, work everybody from Living in 8-Bits into there. All the cast, all the regulars, they all got a part to play, even if it was a small cameo or it was a significant part of an episode. Bringing new people in was a good way to spice it up, and I think too, differentiate it even more from the Living in 8-Bits series.
Everybody we brought on as a supporting cast has been amazing. The new actors and everybody have been phenomenal. It was Mike's decision to want to film them all, so that way he could time out the releases and not just kind of stagger them.
So everything was going to be written up front. Everything was going to be filmed up front, edited up front. Where the original Living in 8-Bits, we would produce it, put it out. Produce it, put it out. Where in this sense, every episode would be finished before anything gets released.
We had the 6 episodes, we were filming them all out of order.
We wanted to do this as a run of episodes because you can really get a lot done that way and save some time and save some money and really consolidate your shoot schedule. For example, this doesn't look like it, but this is Jenna's office that we're in. It's also the same building that the plumbers are cleaning up in the janitor episode, and Carmen's house stood in for 2 different locations, so we shot a couple of episodes in one day that way, and it's sort of those little things where you don't really think about it, but it saves everyone a lot of effort.
So the very first thing that we had to write and shoot was the finale of our series. One thing I mentioned at the writers' meeting was that we should shoot an episode at TooManyGames because then all of our YouTuber friends were going to be there and it would be easy to get them to cameo in our episode, and it would be a nice way to wrap up this 6-episode arc.
TooManyGames. You mean Carmen Con?
Carmen Con.
Carmen Con.
Carmen Con. Carmen Con. Carmen Con.
Carmen Con.
Pretty much working as special effects, aka mustache wrangler. I bought my whole makeup kit and I was pretty much in between selling at TooManyGames. Joey or Matt would be like standing on the sides like, oh, okay, it's time. All right, hold on one second. Just like sitting everybody down in a chair, just like doing mustaches. It was great.
And that's really like 90% of our time on set is making sure our mustaches don't fall off. So it's an important job.
We shot over the course of 2 days at the convention. So the first day was primarily shooting the main narrative scenes.
I could tell there was more of just more of like an air of organization and professional expectation, which is something I really appreciate, and that's, you know, an environment that I more like to be in.
Honey, look who it is. We should try and take a selfie.
Yes.
What are they doing?
I don't know what's happening.
What is that contraption there? I'm confused.
Thank you, guys.
Out here to take this.
What are you, selling real estate?
It was kind of jumping right into the deep end with this project because most of the other days, all the variables are kind of minimized. And then the shoot at TooManyGames, which was first, is obviously a huge convention with thousands of people walking around and nobody knows what we're doing or why.
Well, the funny thing about it, you mentioned it's a costume, but it is TooManyGames and everybody cosplays there. So nobody thinks twice about seeing you in a Mario costume, which is the great thing about it. You can kind of walk around and you look like you're just blending in with the scenery, which is great.
Lots of interesting costumes here at this plumbing convention. Yo, look at this one. I like it. That's a good one.
Us just being there filming gains attention, and people are asking, "What are you guys filming? What are you guys filming? Oh, can I watch it? Yeah, you can watch it."
It sort of amped up the enthusiasm immediately because everyone had to be in character and had to be ready to just nail their lines and move on to the next one, and the excitement that's buzzing all around you kind of infuses into your character, I think.
It is less controlled. You don't have a lot of control over it. You know, you got to ensure the sound is right and that, you know, you got to set up good places for filming. Are people going to walk into your shot?
It was really chaotic and a lot to take in and a lot to focus on because we were also working with a lot of extras and people we were just kind of like, you kind of know our work. Cool, come on over and work with us. And you know, we know you, we're friends, come on over.
One of Steph's best qualities is just being able to wrangle people up. And she wrangled up our angry mob. She got this group of people together and helped divvy up the lines and pretty much orchestrated that whole angry mob sequence.
So I went into the middle of the room and I got my big girl voice and I said, "Hey, who wants to be in a movie?" And like, they looked awesome because they were already like in cosplay or whatever. Like, we got some like real professionals by me just screaming into a room of randos. And they were awesome randos.
Which was pretty much just attendees who had 2 minutes to kill, and it was one of the fastest we've ever shot a scene that complicated, and it was kind of amazing that Steph was able to pick out, like, just looking at them, the perfect people who could help pull that scene off.
You guys were very professional. Had a fun time doing it just out of the blue. So I remember you guys picked us out, just, hey, we need people to film for this. And I wasn't doing anything at the time.
How will this affect my homeowner's insurance?
It's a good question.
Then the second day of Too Many Games was when we got all the cameos.
Well, the King of Spain, who has gold coins? Do you have any property with a view of the Aurora Borealis?
So is everything in this land trying to kill you? Where did we shoot that? Too Many Games. I got to do that with Norm, which is always fun getting to do anything like that with Norm.
We just went to each of our friends and said, "Hey, do you got 5 minutes? Can you be in this?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure, whatever."
Super Plumber Brothers was fun. You know, you guys just kind of came up and were like, "Hey, say who has gold coins." Like, well, all right, what's going to happen? Don't worry about it, just say that. Okay, cool. All of a sudden, Mario and Luigi are in front of us. It was fun. It was fun.
So I like when it's just spontaneity. It's like, okay, we're just going to do this right now. We're filming right now. This is what the scene is. This is what's going to happen. This is how I need you to react. Do it.
Our star pupil. Look how realistic.
Told you, it's a gift.
We're minor celebrities in that world, and that's what's really cool. And the A-list celebrities of that world like us, and that is something really neat to behold. And it's really cool to see that they support us and they back us and they want us to succeed as well, and they're willing to be cameos in our stuff to help us out.
The whole premise is pretty funny, like that they would have other jobs besides being a plumber. Like they couldn't cut it as plumbers, so they gotta go to the temp job agency.
I've been a big fan of the show, so when you asked if we could do that cameo, I was all in. It was hilarious. I love doing it. I love the way the whole thing came together too.
We only had one pamphlet to go around, and the pamphlet on the second day of filming was misplaced by me. So when we went around for these cameos, we just took pages of the script and handed them to all these YouTubers, folding them up like trifolds. And then in post, I scanned our pamphlet and superimposed it using motion tracking on the back of these empty script pages. And thankfully, no one really noticed.
We are in a plunging today.
So in the pilot episode, Matt had written this flashback scene where the plumbers are plumbing. I rewrote the scene to include Diana.
Well, there you go, princess. You're all plumbed. Yahoo!
Are you sure it doesn't look very safe?
That was sad. That was kind of bittersweet because Diana was leaving us very shortly to move on to bigger, better things.
I miss working with Diana. She's hilarious. She has some of the best facial expressions and reactions and just line deliveries of any of the people I've worked with. She was a great sport about. There were a lot of people who'd be like, "That's a terrible scene and I'm not doing it." And Diana pretty much took it like a champ.
She's been a good sport through a whole lot of these episodes, actually, for all the things we've put poor Diana through.
It happened, and I survived.
It was hard for us too.
But the rest of the series wasn't shot till that November, so there was a good 5-month layoff between the TooManyGames episode and filming the rest of the series. That was the point where we're going to be shooting every week for the next month.
So here we are filming today. Super Plumber Scratch Janitor Brothers.
That janitor day was a lot of fun, especially seeing the flood, and then we were doing all the work with the hose and destroying paintings and all kind of things. So it was pretty destructive, but in the best way possible.
We'd be there on this carpet and splashing the mops and buckets to make it look real. Now we did this on carpet, so they would get soaked.
Water everywhere, and we had the bright idea of putting water on carpet. So there was an extra special mess.
There was a lot of plastic wrap on the ground whenever we had to smash something with water onto the ground.
There was so much water getting into the carpet, and I was like, how are you gonna get through this? This looks terrible.
No!
Oh, Jesus. Oh, so close.
No!
Vacuum time.
I've just extended this scene now.
It's alright.
I thought we almost finished.
We were so close.
Oh, we were so close.
Alright.
And we had a giant wet dry vac to suck up all the water and all the moisture that had gotten into the carpet. The Pine Shine bottle is really just apple juice with a new label over it. And we found out very quickly that the acidity and sugars in apple juice really helped with removing spirit gum on the mustaches.
It tasted like a lemonade.
Mustache fell off. Alright.
It's good spirit gum remover.
Yeah.
Apparently. Every time I would gush this, it would just like soak my shirt. And Mike's like, we gotta do it again. It tasted like a lemonade with a hint of pine, and my mustache fell off.
It was probably a good half hour to 45 minutes just to film that shot because of how many times we had to do it. And every time it got into the mustache, it had to be dried off. It was a very long process.
It was just one of those really funny gags that was hard to keep a straight face at behind the scenes.
I feel my health bar refilling already.
Oh.
I'm so sorry. You broke it? Wow. I could've. That's a good sign.
They were trying to do the shot where Matt and Joey both appear on the opposite sides of the fishbowl. Mike and Matt really took their time and figured that shot out so it looked really nice. And I think just the narrative aspect of it allowed for them to try and be a little more cinematic.
I'd like everyone to know that that was a stunt fish. That the actual fish, goldfish, it's dead, but not because of us, right? It died of natural causes like a year after that shoot. But it was a carrot that I carved into a fish that we dumped in the toilet. I'm a big fish lover, and I would never dump a little fishy into the toilet who was still alive, so.
And we really did have a great prop department on this, by which I mean anyone we knew who was handy.
Props to Kyle and Dave in our props department.
Props.
Kyle Gentes also did an amazing job and kind of fully took the reins on a couple of the more complicated props, like the flood. Kyle saw it and said, yep, I know how to do this. I know exactly how to put this together. Built the flood. He found the vacuum for the poltergust. He also built the little pipe that goes into the mug on Jenna's desk.
Well, I thought the flood was so well designed by Kyle that I didn't really want to break it. I didn't really want to mess it up. So I was proceeding extra carefully with wearing this clunky thing.
But the saddest thing is we had to make the flood machine look like it was constructed by the plumbers on set. And Kyle did such a good job putting it together that we started cosmetically junking it up to make it look like they had actually put it together.
Because Kyle made it look so nice.
It's true, it's beautiful. And we need to make it look like it's actually going, it would hold together fine without all of this tape. We're just adding tape for cosmetics.
We are so thankful that we were able to use Yertle and a lot of free cycle places locally to source some of the props. Some other people donated us paintings in the background and things, which is always fun too, to tell someone on a trading website, oh, by the way, you could see your stuff in the background of this.
That's a wrap for today.
3 days out of 7.
Another advantage of doing all 6 episodes at once is you've got them all written and everything that's in one location, if possible, try to schedule at one time. So it made a lot of sense to film everything with Jenna in it in this office, film it all at once.
Well, here we are yet again. We're in a office. It's the same office as last week. Turn around, look. But you wouldn't know it. Because that was a great set design by Sarah and stuff.
That office day was a pretty long day, but those things were necessary. You know, we needed to get it all done in one day.
It was refreshing though, because after we filmed, we're like, oh, we're done all the office scenes.
Well worth it. The product turned out amazing, especially through those office scenes. You don't even know we filmed those office scenes in one day if you looked at them.
I think by the end of the day, we shot about 12 or 15 pages worth of script, which anybody who knows anything about film production knows that is that's a lot of stuff to film in one day.
Props to Matt, Joey, and Sarah for knowing all of their lines that day, because that was just a bulk of lines.
I was able to kind of film my character arc all in one day. Jenna got progressively angrier as the day went on. And I was kind of getting tired and cranky anyway, so it was kind of like by the end, I was like, yeah, I get it. Let's go. Next, 12 hours of filming.
You don't like a quote?
No. There's like a big fat carrots and things.
You're still here.
Turnips.
Mike always lets the camera roll, and that's like the most beautiful part, is that we'd get, again, punchy because we're tired or hungry or just have the giggles. That's all the 3 actors just staying in their character and not letting it go, and Mike just filming until it is max awkward.
Get out. No. Put it down. Now. Go.
There's no windows in Matt and Steph's studio. You didn't really get much cell reception down anyway, so you're pretty much off the grid.
The room was warm because we couldn't keep the air on. We had the fan blowing, and every time we were about to film, we had to turn the fan off so we could get good sound.
Sarah, Steph, a friend of ours, Pete, it's a whole team of people designed the office set and put that together.
We had the shelf, and we got to fill it with all of our things that we like and kind of give tidbits to the audience. Be like, yeah, this is my weird little thing. In fact, if you look at that shelf, it's really got some strange stuff. I'm not sure what we were thinking. We were just kind of like, yeah, stuff.
What's really cool is just looking at all the little in-jokes that are on the bulletin board in the back. Steph put a nice little nod to us working on the Angry Video Game Nerd movie. We would have random Harry Belafonte dance breaks. Steph would be in the other room and just start playing Harry Belafonte music, and we just, all right, drop everything and start dancing.
You need to move your booty if you're gonna come work for me. And I've just found that if you play silly dance music, or like my favorite, the Harry Belafonte, Shake, Shake, Senora, right? First off, you get the nostalgia factor, because hello, Beetlejuice. Second, it's just fun, and it keeps the day going, and it keeps me awake, because I'm telling you, I don't want to be up at 7 o'clock in the morning like that. You know, I love you if I'm up at 7 a.m., okay?
We just shot a really awesome scene. Everybody? It was awesome. We're not saying because it wasn't awesome. I'm saying because we were all doing 2 jobs already, so.
I think that was one of the funniest scenes. Just when Sarah walks through, and it's me, Joey, Jobo Cop, and Joe.
Carmen really wanted me to do that as Little Mac, and yeah, I'm glad we finally got to fulfill his dream of me being Little Mac.
To be honest, I didn't really know much about Ness prior to Smash Bros. I pretty much where my knowledge ends and begins is Smash Bros. And I know his taunts, so I figured, you know what? I'm just going to do his taunt over and over again until Mike and Matt tell me to stop. And they never did.
I feel like that kind of stuff brings it full circle, and it, like, yeah, this is a standalone series, but it's fitting into this whole universe that we built.
At that point, been able to put 3 full episodes in the can. So half the series was now filmed complete.
We filmed the landscaper episode and the party planner episode the same day, all at Carmen's house.
I guess I should thank Carmen's wife for lending us the house that evening and that whole day.
Oh, it's my
I was gonna say, watch it, I got coffee.
My vote. It's not just this kitchen.
Carmen has a really nice house. I need to learn how to decorate from him and his wife.
We might have wrapped at 5 o'clock, and the house was probably spotless at 5:15. I remember Kathleen came home and she said that one of the Joeys was vacuuming. She goes, well, that was not even necessary, but they were vacuuming the house. She goes, I wouldn't even have known you guys were here had Mike not still been here.
We were very fortunate to have a day where it was completely overcast. It was a milder day, so we had a very smooth shoot outdoors.
There were planes constantly going overhead, or was it was like cars or something, that every time we would try to do a shoot outside, it would just all of a sudden we'd like get in the zone and it's like, I'm like,
How about the piranha plants?
there's God stupid thing. Go away.
It sounds like a plane, yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay. It actually adds to the comedy.
Just got a random pineapple.
Yep.
I just went to the supermarket and bought every kind of vegetable that I could find that looked like it came from Super Mario 2, with a couple bags of topsoil, and just made this mound of vegetable junk.
And he like picked up a beet, and it's just like for so many takes that we were doing, his hands were like bright pink by the time we were done shooting it. It was like, is this ever gonna come off? It's like, I don't know.
So we were just shooting something crazy. We were shooting Joey running around like a crazy person.
I was so exhausted that I had to actually chase the rabbit around. There was nothing there. I'm just kind of running around the yard. So Mike's actually up in the window with his camera, pointing it down into the yard. So I'm sitting here running around the yard, doing dives and somersaults and tumbles, acting like I'm chasing this rabbit. I'm getting really winded. I'm like, man, I'm out of shape. I should have worked out before this. This is the star of our web series, Gidget. Would you like to say hi?
Gidget, say hello.
I got to work with Gidget, and I apologized to her all the time because I was like, she was the most patient dog I've ever had the pleasure of being in the same room with, because for most of the episode I was screaming, and I was screaming with holding Gidget right next to her head, so I'm like, and I'm like, I'm sorry.
All this screaming, and she didn't budge at all. This terrible guard dog. Terrible.
She's like, I'm just in this cocoon, love me.
That's like a professional dog, man. And it was kind of fun to carry her around like a baby.
Gidget did her first big on-screen acting, so I was really proud of her for just being like, I'm gonna have to do my job. Cool. Because my dog knows what that is.
Gidget was a very nice, very, just like Sarah, also a pro.
She works very hard for chicken and turkey slices, that much I know. So she's very dedicated to her art.
But I had her on my back. I'm a production assistant. I did makeup for Rachel. I did wardrobe for Mike Sutton, makeup on the guys with the mustaches, and then of course training my dog. So it was crazy. That was a crazy day.
Being able to go, okay, we're in this episode mode. Okay, that's done. All right, now we're full gear into this episode.
Steph was really good at getting us some of these new actors, some of these new faces, especially Mike Sutton and Rachel Keefe.
Stephanie actually needed to cast someone who looked like a teenager but was older, and I recommended my friend Rachel, who ultimately played my daughter in the role, and Stephanie thought it would be a great idea if I came on and played her father.
She's much older than 16, but can pass for a 16-year-old, so he was right about that. It works perfectly.
It was hilarious because I remember at that age just being annoyed at everything, just anything really. Even something I wanted, I'd get it and be like, this is just not, I don't know what I thought of. And just her being like, I have this really important party going on and it's not working out the way I want. And these crazy people are here.
When I was writing that role, that's exactly what I was kind of envisioning for her. And she, she didn't even need any direction in regards to that. She was just nailed it.
That was a lot of fun working with people that you haven't worked before. I always like meeting new people on sets.
They helped ground it in reality a little bit, and they kind of gave us the everyman's point of view of looking at this incredibly wacky and crazy stuff going on.
And they were both very, patient as well with the silliness of what was going on, and they played along, and I thought that was really cool.
It was like we were working, but it was also kind of playtime, but in a professional way. So it was like you're actually enjoying what you're doing.
Everybody on the set was wonderful. We laughed a lot in between takes. During takes, sometimes Joey, with his mustache and his noises that he would make in between takes, would be a constant source of laughter.
They fit so effortlessly with the team and made for a really pleasant shoot.
That's when you're watching it as a director and cinematographer, and you're like, man, this is pretty awesome.
It was a great set to be on. I've been on very disorganized sets before, unfortunately. This one ran like clockwork. We got a tremendous amount of work done in a very short period of time. And me as an actor, when someone respects my time, that's a great gift to me. And I know other people appreciate that as well. So anytime you can be on a professional set where you're having a good time too, that's a win-win for me and most actors.
On this set, everyone is just like has good vibes, so I just felt really comfortable. I felt welcomed. I didn't feel judged. Everyone was really nice and personable. Like they would actually ask you questions about yourself, which normally it's kind of like, get in your spot. And it's like, okay, I'm like a prop in a way. But I felt like we were like a team.
Should we tell the truck to stop? And then you both turn and look out the window. Which is what the shot we're doing right now.
Carmen as our lava delivery salesman. As Matt put it, just look the douchiest you can.
I think he kind of stole that episode with that performance there.
Because I didn't even have a uniform or what I was going to plan to wear. But luckily we were at my house, so I just went upstairs and threw on something.
Every time I watch it, I don't know why, I just can't stop laughing.
Test the temperature. How is it?
It was nice and relaxing because we got to sit down for most of this, which was also awesome. So we got to kind of take a little break and just kind of read some lines together, which was excellent.
It's actually funny writing, so just listening to it no matter what is just funny. I guess it just flowed so much better than it did in my mind when it came out, and I was just like, this is hilarious. Like, I want to do another one.
So we filmed the painting episode at ACPPA Community Arts Center in Norristown. It's this like really great arts group. So the craziest thing about the painting episode was it was the night after we had a home invasion. And so it was a lot of extras, right? And it was a lot of coordination to get the art school in general. Matt had been held up at gunpoint by 3 people the night before, and we still couldn't cancel the shoot because they would have let down, I guess, about 20 people. So we just said, you know what? We're not gonna talk about what happened. Everybody's safe, thankfully. They're all in jail right now. Matt went there, performed like a pro. It really got his mind off of things. But like, I think a lot of people don't really realize that, right? A lot of people that go online, they're just like, oh, look at this video that people threw together and whatever. So for even something like this, which is a light and fluffy volunteer thing, we take things like really seriously, and graciously, everybody did offer that day to reschedule. We decided as a couple, we should just keep going. And honestly, it really helped the recovery process.
Welcome to art class. I am a Luigi and this is my brother Mario. We are obviously professional artists.
Ugh. My favorite day of shooting, without a doubt, was the Painter episode. Personally, it's my favorite episode.
I think that's one of the funniest episodes. I love that episode. Everything about it, from Joey pulling out the mouse, to the speakers, to the music that Matt plays from Mario Paint.
So there is some discrepancy over how the Painter episode was.
I really thought that it would be funny if Mario drops his robe at the beginning and is nude, like a nude model would be in an actual art class. Mike thought it would be funnier that he has the suspenders on, partially because we don't have to censor him the whole time, and also because it's funny that he thinks that's naked, and that's as close as it could be.
And he isn't even nude, he's wearing overalls.
Well, if I wasn't wearing the overalls, how could you tell where my arm stopped and my body began?
And me, I'm the act. You give me a sandwich, I'll do anything, for a part. So Mike still keeps me around. Like, yeah, I'll get naked. Why not?
I was happy that we got to use the full naked Mario at the very end when he walks in on the typing class. That made it worthwhile for me.
That was definitely the most interesting thing I think I filmed.
It was funny because Matt and Mike really knew what scream they wanted.
Everyone was like, what is the reaction to this? A naked man walking in to teach this class? And I only had the one reaction I could picture, which I think was from The Simpsons.
Mario teaches a typing!
And it's just a very tight cut-off scream they do probably 2 or 3 times in a row.
But it was really cool because we got a couple new faces in there. We got Mike Franz. We got Rogelio from Nerd vs. Geek. He was in there. Square Painter's in there, obviously. Steph is in there.
There's an element of fear when you're a new person coming into an already established group. But as soon as I walked in the room, my fears were immediately dispelled. I mean, this group was really welcoming and inviting. It was just a good experience from start to finish.
The one about them teaching a painting class, all right, you want me to be involved in that? That's awesome, sure. So you asked me, oh, just do one of your small paintings that you'd sell at the show. It's like, all right, absolutely. I just tried to play it off as like, no matter how ridiculous the episode got or how wacky things were getting, I just kind of sat there and like seriously, like I was painting this big elaborate thing when it was just, pixels, like silliness, like, that I was painting.
I remember he was pretty happy that day. I think Mark Hamill retweeted or favorited one of his pieces on Twitter, and so he was pretty jacked up about that, so that was cool.
It was a week before Force Awakens. Everyone was hyped for it. Everyone was talking about Star Wars.
A big topic on set.
I am the Senate.
Is Star Wars.
It's treason.
So we don't know if it's good or bad or not. So we're just
organized.
Oh wait, we're talking about Star Wars?
We're talking about Star Wars.
It is Saturday. Star Wars is Thursday.
Misa can't wait for Star Wars.
It's a few days.
Misa excited.
We're like 5 days out from Star Wars.
We don't discuss that.
Misa watch Star Wars next week.
We just didn't know what to expect because they're, it's hard to think of now how hush-hush everything was.
If they find us, they will crush us, grind us into tiny pieces, and blast us into oblivion.
Sarah did the Picasso leg painting. Just another thing that Sarah can do.
I think the biggest scene from that was Joey jumping through the painting.
David Lucidi built the giant painting for us. Joey had to jump through, and he designed exactly how it would work.
Whenever you see like a sign or something huge, a banner, that's always Dave at Simcoe Sign Studios. We really appreciate him.
This is a framework that's going to be simulating a canvas stretch artwork, I guess? That's what your attempt was?
Yes.
And we basically just took a digital print, stretched it over some wood, and let's just hope it breaks the way it's supposed to.
Exactly.
And we only had one shot to get that right. So you can imagine we were all kind of tense. Can you guys tell that Mike's nervous?
I'm a little nervous. I am.
We all knew going into this, like, hey, I gotta get this right the first time. Like, there's only one time you're gonna be able to jump through this. If not, this whole shot's ruined.
We're like scoring it to make sure that it's gonna rip correctly.
We're setting up the hardest shot of the day. Joey's got to jump through this. So Sarah right now is in the middle of scoring the back with perforations so that we can thin out the paper so that Joey can do a clean break.
I have one shot to get this right. I've been screwing up all day.
And if we didn't get it, it was gonna be, I don't know. We would have had to fix it in post or something.
We were building up to that scene like, Joey, you got to break the screen. You got to go through it. When you go through it, you just got to go through it. It's got to be all or nothing because we only have one.
I remember how tense everybody was leading up to it. Because you don't know how it's going to go. You have one shot at it. Is it going to go good? Is it going to go bad? Who knows?
If you happen to hit it and bounce off, just stop. But if you make any dent in it, just keep punching through. Just break it to
Heath Ledger, think the Joker when he blew up the hospital and didn't blow up the first time.
Everyone loses their minds.
I was like picturing all the ways that could have went wrong with like just the wood that was holding it up just falling down with Joey, or the cinder blocks getting kicked out of their way.
And would it be too strong? Was it too, thick a piece of paper that Joey wouldn't be able to even punch through it?
Okay, so someone just check the hallway real quick to make sure that no one is possibly gonna, you know what I mean?
Hey guys, what you doing?
You know what a weight room is?
Whatever we have, we're going to use. And thankfully, it worked. And I think, we all kept that in the back of our minds, especially Joey. He's the one who has to go through the thing.
Scene 2, Sierra, take 1. Marker.
Everybody rolling?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Here we go. And action.
It's just kind of unsettling. Oh, I get it. I am just a piece of meat for you people, eh? I lost the hat. And I actually went through really easily. We're waiting for your cut.
Cutting. So it all worked out great. Thank you to Dave Lucidi for that one.
So that was just a fun day overall. And it was also kind of bittersweet. It was our last day of shooting too. So it was a really solid day.
That is a wrap on season 1 of Super Plumber Brothers. Yay! Yay! Yeah. Now it's post-production time. Woo!
Woo! You'll have it done in like 2 hours. You got it.
Post for me was just sitting there going, ooh, new clips. Ooh, new clips. Ooh, look what they did this time.
We edited pretty much as we went along, so we had a pretty clear idea of what every episode looked like right after we shot it. That gave us the point then where we could hand it over to Chris Pateco to do our post-production visual effects.
And I think one of our biggest hang-ups in writing is always, how do we pull that off? Mike is always very understanding of other people's times and never wants to overcommit anyone to anything, so he's usually a little more hesitant to put the heavy visual effects into these, and I think Living in 8-Bits only started getting car explosions once we met Chris Pateco, and he was like, hey guys, if you ever need a car explosion, I can do that. And we were like, really? So it's a dangerous thing to say to us, because we will always take someone up on that, even if it's 3 years later.
I think I started hearing rumblings about Super Plumber Brothers. It might have even been half a year before they started filming it. Matt was already kicking around ideas. I could tell he was scheming something. Pretty much, you name it, I was on the hook for all of that stuff.
You can't have Super Plumber Brothers without fires. It's, I think, a staple of it. They have to set fires to things.
They were telling me, oh, we're going to light, in post, that's going to be on fire. I'm like, okay. And I watched, I was like, that looks like it's on fire.
So when it came to lighting the building on fire, they said they just wanted the effect to come in from off screen. And that was fine with me. As you can see, I pretty much just laid in fire. After that came smoke, then some little sparks to just add some interest. If you look very carefully, you can see that the pole is actually casting a shadow, and so is the tiny street sign in front of it.
We were sort of doing more figuring out how we were going to make things like the lava effects work. So there's a lot of shooting stuff like the truck or like the basement, and it's just a basement, and then saying, Chris Pateco will figure that out later. So thanks, Chris.
Mike said, don't worry about logic. Don't worry about it making any sense. We're spoofing old video games that don't make any sense at all. So just fill up the back of the truck with lava. He really, really, really wanted these lava bubbles to appear on the top. That ended up probably taking half the amount of time of the entire effect to figure out. For the discerning eye, if you look very carefully, there's even heat ripples that are coming out of the lava pipe, ever so subtly.
And it's funny where you look at what the scene looks like without the effects, and then what it looks like with them, and it's just night and day what a difference it is. And it really looks great, and props to Chris for putting that together.
The sprinkler water was sprinkling down. That was a post effect. Thank God it was, because that would have been a pain in the butt to shoot.
Like, if you don't know that it's fake, that's the point. And kudos to him.
This time, rather than blowing up a car, they wanted to blow up a house. And not completely the house, but just looked like it blew out of the door and traveled through the house and blew out of the windows. This time I endeavored to figure out how to make the glass look like it was shattering. Just lots of layering effects, and then putting in the foreground elements, and once again, putting my little patented glow over the edges of everything to really sell the depth of the footage.
He really is a master at that, and he loves learning new stuff and showing off what he can do, because it really is impressive for a web series what we pull off in terms of visual effects, and really a lot of that has to do with Chris Pateco.
Oh look, it grew a plant.
So in theory, that's an easy thing to do, where you just have a cup and there's coffee in it, and then you cut away and you cut back and the coffee drains out. But in practicality, you have to design a pipe to come out of a mug or glue it together or whatever. There are really a lot of steps to it. And then to make the plant come out is going to be in post. We tried to do it 100% digitally, and that didn't really work.
I did the stop motion animation of the piranha plant coming out of the coffee mug. As a matter of fact, this is it right here. And I just animated it to chomp down a couple frames.
So he sent that over to me. I took the other components, layered them in place, did the green screening on the piranha plant head, Then it came down to matching colors more than anything. Funny enough, I think the thing that really sold the shot was I put a stupid shine on the stem that matched the pipe it was coming out of. That really did it. That and adding the shadow, which again, for the discerning eye, I would like to point out, the shadow fully animates with the rest of the effect.
It was really a complicated effect for something that's on screen for a second and a half. Not everybody would concentrate that hard on a moment that small, but we do.
James Rolfe was kind to do a little cameo for us. He filmed on his green screen and handed the footage over to me. And so I put a little piece of green card in a picture frame.
So there was a point in the shoot where Mike and Matt were really looking for a rabbit. My girlfriend acquired a baby bunny. I was thankful when we shot that scene that Pepper was very stationary, that she kind of just sat there, and I think she was just too scared to move around. She wasn't camera shy. She followed direction well. She took criticism and used it to enhance her performance. And I think there's a Webby in her future.
So Kevin Stahl had done the music for Nerd vs. Geek. He's also done some stuff for us in the past. So I asked him to come on board and compose our music.
And I've been a huge fan of all of his Living in 8 Bits work. So I immediately said yes to scoring Super Plumber Brothers.
It's great to have a composer like Kevin Stahl involved because he gets it. He was there in the Nintendo era with us. He knows exactly what we're going for. And when you give him like we need it to sort of be this and evoke the feeling of Mario, he's like, got it, I know what to do.
So I first started trying to create a sound palette that would sort of embody the overall vibe of what I was seeing on the screen. And I ultimately came up with something that was a little bit quirky, a little bit serious, and a little bit of a throwback to traditional 8-bit Nintendo game music.
When I watched the initial rough cuts without the music, I was like, okay, yeah, these are funny. And then the music came in. I was like, and it put it to the next level for us. And I was like, okay, that works. That definitely is what it needs, what it needed.
Great job, brother. The Flood episode was one of my favorites. It was a hilarious episode to begin with, and the music really elevated that and brought a drama to the scene that I think wasn't there before, and just took the action over the top.
Okie dokie.
Danger, fire, this is not a drone. Evacuate the building immediately.
Brother, a magical limitless supply of clean water. We did it. This is going to be the cleanest building ever.
Having a custom composed soundtrack surely elevated a lot of the scenes, and even when there wasn't custom underscore for the drama, just having those little short bumpers and hits that are custom and truly match the vibe on the screen really brings this series up to a new level of professionalism.
We're gonna get these out, and then we're gonna have a little afterwards, figure it out, post-production, see where we're at, see where we stand. We're not gonna stop filming. We were actually talking about this earlier. We're not gonna stop filming.
The production process of Super Plumber Brothers, from conception to release, was over a year just to produce those 6 episodes.
It resonates with anybody that is familiar with the Nintendo universe.
Even to my daughters that are only 9 years old and 7 years old, they're cracking up just at the slapstick and the delivery of the lines. So they're catching it on a totally different level than, people of my generation and your generation.
I think because of all the love and care that was put into it, and just how much hard work was put into it, and the production value is great.
It was just a great team effort, I thought. And that's what brings me to anything. It's just who's working on it. And that aspect was covered in spades.
It's, a great mixture of the old and the new, I think. Taking the stuff that was great about our dynamic on Living in 8-Bits and just, okay, how do we improve on it? How do we do new things? How do we challenge ourselves? How do we grow? And I think it was a success in that way.
And I was just honored to be part of it in any of the episodes that I was in. It was a great time.
I was so happy to participate in it. And it's so lighthearted and fun, and I think it's stuff that most people can relate to and appreciate.
The Living in 8-Bits cast and crew are such hard workers. I mean, they put so much detail into what they do, and they're just fun people. I've worked with very few film crews that have the level of work and the level of play that the Living in 8-Bits crew has. I mean, they made it fun, but they made a good product.
Our crew, our cast, they all love each other, and we're having a blast doing it, and we'll see what happens after this.
Series is super creative, a lot of fun, and really funny, like legitimately funny. Every time I watch that show, laugh out loud every time. I think you guys do an amazing job with it.
You know, again, this thing just started out as an idea. Back after the 50th episode. There's nothing more rewarding than actually seeing that idea come to fruition.
It was exactly what we wanted and expected it to be. It's still an extremely high quality web series compared to 99% of what's out there, and I'm proud of everything we did for it.
Living in 8-Bits will live on. We will live on. You will see us again. We will do something new. We will do something spectacular. It will be funny.
They will always be there for people to watch, for people to enjoy. And I'm very happy with the product that we made. And hopefully more people will just discover it. And if it entertains them and makes them laugh, then we did our job.
Hey, you know, this series is really hard to say. Super Plumber Brothers. Super Plumber Brothers. That's gonna go on the outtakes, I know it.
Fire away. Preferably up in the air. Straight up.
I'm really not. Next question.
I'm the so.
Say how awesome you are. Well, Sarah sucks. No. Sarah blackmailed us into casting her in this project.
Oh, how awful was the film this show? Oh man, it was a nightmare. I had to don my Mario costume and yahoo everywhere, and it kind of gets painful in the throat.
You know, this wallpaper was bad. Putting this wallpaper up was a real pain in my ass. And you know what? It's falling down. It's like not great. It's like really bad.